Let's go straight to the Oz now. Hedley Thomas has been over in the UK, in Hong Kong, and he's been looking at some of the problems there at the moment. And of course, if we go to the front of the Oz, Hedley Thomas and Ruth Mathieson, Hong Kong. Hong Kong voters have capped 5 months of democracy, protest, violence and anarchy with the most crushing electoral blow yet to the government and administration of Chief Executive Carrie Lam, the overwhelming rejection of establishment candidates and the pro-Beijing camp that have backed Ms Lam was telegraphed in district council elections held peacefully on Sunday and counted on Monday. Scott Emerson, what do you think this means for Beijing?
Oh, well, it's a terrible blow for them. I mean, all but one of the 18 councils has gone and fallen to the Democrats, and I saw that the Carrie Lam and others like her are out there trying to put the best light on this, saying, look, these aren't important councils. How terrible that people have politicised these votes. I'm sorry, these are politicians. I can't understand what they're talking about there. But the reality is, what it says is the public has risen up and in a democratic and fortunately peaceful way has demonstrated where they stand on this. And they do not stand with Beijing.
Now, Damien, the South China Morning Post reported Democrats had won big in poor and rich neighbourhoods in both protest-prone and non-protest afflicted districts and in downtown areas as well as the suburbs.
Yeah, so that probably is a reflection that the everyday Hong Konger, as they're called, is incensed at this overreach by Beijing, and the more upper class or more refined voter is embarrassed about how long this has been going on, and Beijing's response to some very real fears there. And of course the upshot of this election result will be that the pro-Beijing groups will be reduced from 258 last time to 58 this time. So 200 seats lost is huge.
And it is having an impact on Hong Kong tourism. There's no doubt about that. I see Cathay have got some red-hot deals at the moment. There's some suggestion that the big race meeting over there is under threat. They've sort of cancelled the golf recently.
Clearly it's having an impact on there. What I was interested in terms of this result is there was that feeling that possibly the protesters had overstepped the mark. That they'd gone for what they wanted was to remove that law. They won that, but then they were pushing too far, and possibly community sentiment there was moving back towards Beijing. Now, what this vote overnight or today has said is that is not the case. The public out there is clearly still in favour of the Democrat protesters.
And of course, in a bit of a shout out to Hedley Thomas and the Oz, some very brave reporting about some of the ugly side of some of these protests.
We're getting some live shots now coming in from Hong Kong where millions are voting in these Hong Kong elections, Damo.
And Hedley, of course, one of our finest journalists in the profession.
Worked for many years in Hong Kong.
Yep, worked for many years, and he's gone back there to have a look at what's going on with these protests. He's been pilloried, by the social media experts on both journalism and international diplomacy. He's been dragged for telling the truth about some of the tactics the protesters have been using that do cross the line well beyond simple, everyday an uprising. Some of the stuff is quite grubby. But him and he and Robert Avadia from Seven talked about it in today's Oz, just about some of the treatment they've been subjected to simply for telling the truth about what's going on.
The reality is Hedley. Look at the Walkleys. Look at the history of there.
2 gold.
In terms of that, Hedley does not go with the crowd, and that's why he's such a good journalist.
And I can guarantee you, having worked alongside Hedley on a number of big stories over the last 25 years, he is meticulous, and he's very big on making sure that his sources are 100% right. So you can guarantee that what he's coming up with in Hong Kong with his wife Ruth Mathieson is rolled gold. All right.